We have heard and will hear of the stories of people who suffered under our unforgiving and unethical healthcare system. My story is a bit different, though. Let me give you a picture of how our system should work. But first, do you like walking? I know I do. This is something that we don't think about every single day, right? Maybe we take it a little bit for granted. Walking in the park on a summer day, walking through a new city, exploring new places. How about walking to visit a friend? These are things that we might do over the course of our day and not really think about it too much. But what if you couldn't? What if you couldn't walk on a random day? Think about how restricted your life would become tomorrow if that ability was taken from you. That was my reality as a kid. From elementary school through early high school, I suffered from CRMO, chronic recurrent multifocal osteomyelitis. It is an autoimmune condition and causes inflammation in between your bones, and it can break them. My case was excruciating. One day, I was playing soccer in my hometown's park, and the next, I was crawling through my house, unable to use my legs and in excruciating pain. The day after that, I could run around again. CRMO could take my mobility whenever it saw fit. There was really no predicting how any one day could go. My case was severe enough that my doctor thought I would lose my ability to walk due to the damage done and the time I spent immobilized. I was 10. I played soccer, baseball, basketball, and every playground game you could think of. I climbed trees, skied, swam, and biked. At 10, I was basically told my life was going to change forever. No one equips a 10-year-old to understand the gravity of healthcare decisions and the harsh reality of our system. I had a procedure done in which my ankle was drilled into to conduct a bone biopsy. I was completely awake for that, numbed, obviously. I had my blood drawn hundreds of times. I spent many hours staring at the plastic ring of an MRI machine with a cage to hold my head still. I visited doctors up and down the East Coast and underwent procedures from common to crazy to make progress. I was hospitalized for a week at Boston's Children's Hospital and put into the ward for kids in the life-ending stages of their diseases. With all of that, I was lucky because my solution was simple: regular doctor's visits and years of physical therapy. I recovered from CRMO and now live an active life. Success, right? Thank you. For me, that was success. For millions of other Americans, no. They could have been physically disabled or worse. It is not unheard of from children suffering from CRMO to end their lives due to lack of treatment. It's an exceedingly rare, or was an exceedingly rare condition back then, about 1 in a million. And yes, I made jokes like that all the time. So, why was my case a success in the end? Simple. My parents could afford the critical care I needed. That's it. My parents will tell you that I was strong, determined, optimistic, and I do like to think those things are true, but those things are also very true for many other people who did not recover. My parents' ability to afford the care I needed was the singular reason why I recovered. In my later teenage years, my parents told me that my treatments amounted to tens of thousands of dollars per year. My recovery was basically determined by my zip code because I grew up in a very privileged part of the country. My parents could afford to pay for my care across 6 years. Look at the country today. How many Americans do you think could afford an additional expense of tens of thousands of dollars over multiple years? I can tell you the answer. Not many. Imagine you having a child that you love beyond words, a child you'd give anything for, but you can't. You can't just materialize money. That is the reality of the vast majority of Americans, and my case was an exception. For over a year, I was a human services case manager here in Colorado, and I saw the norm. Thousands upon thousands of people suffering because their ability to heal and or live dignified, fulfilling lives was determined by a price tag beyond their reach. That is a civilizational level failure. What kind of society lets its people exist under those conditions? If you need life-altering care, wouldn't you want to receive it without any barriers? Of course you would, and you deserve it. Everyone does. So please, let the stories of the unmitigated suffering from our healthcare system that you've heard today, let those radicalize you. But let my story of success make you realize it does not have to be that way. The care people need exists, but it's for moneyed interests and is normally determined by a paywall. That simply cannot continue to exist. The very fabric of our society will not survive if we allow our material and health conditions to go untreated, and they will go untreated if we continue to put them behind a paywall. Thank you.